Hi, I'm Tatiana Schrayer and I'm turning 13 years old soon, and I'm from Brookline, Massachusetts, and I go to Driscoll School.
Cool. And so I'm Anya, and I'm 14. So, how were you introduced to Stone Soup, Tatiana?
Um, so, I just I started writing poetry when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I was in Chile actually, and I started writing poetry there, because my dad's a writer and my grandfather's a writer, so I just wanted to try writing, and then I wrote a poem, and my dad said, "Oh, first I published a poem in a different magazine, but I discovered it from my mom wrote a poem when she was like 5 years old, and she submitted it. I'm not sure which magazine, but we just heard of it."
Okay, cool. I guess we should start talking about your poetry collection that won second place last year, Searching for Bows and Arrows. How did you decide to submit to the contest?
So I was subscribed to it, so I got all the emails each week on Saturdays, and I saw the book contest. And at first, I thought, "Wait, I can't write 30 poems. Like, I can't do that." But I had some other poems, so I started writing more and more poems, and I realized I could do it. So I submitted to there, and I actually submitted it like the a day before it was due because I wouldn't say I was a procrastinator, but I felt like I had to do it a day before. Like I just had to put more ideas down.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. And so you said that you wrote most of the poems specifically for the contest. Was it a lot of work to put together the whole poetry
I
collection?
wouldn't say it was too much work because poetry is not supposed to be a hard work. It's supposed to be easy. You're supposed to love it. So
Okay, cool. And then, what was it like when you submitted it? Was it like the longest thing you've ever submitted, or like,
probably yeah, I felt like it was a relief after I submitted it. Like I did it. I really didn't think I would get second place. Like I didn't think I would get placed. I just more did it just because I would want to see what would think of it. So
and then when you found out that you won second place, how did that feel? What did you
I
think?
was so happy. Like I thought maybe I would get like I don't know, like an honorable mention, but I was so happy. Yeah.
That's really cool. And then so a lot of your poetry is sort of biographical, I guess, about your own life. Do you find that you find that it's easier to write about your own life? You like writing about your own
Yeah.
life?
Usually like if I go through something, not really go through, but like a lot of my poems, like one of them I wrote about and that was in St. Petersburg in Russia when I went to visit my relatives' graves. It was just so interesting because I was there with my father. And we washed the graves. It was just so interesting, and I wrote about that. I wrote about a lot of different events.
Yeah. What is your favorite thing about writing, do you think?
I think it's because you don't have to really think about anything. You can just no one's like great at poetry. Like you don't always have to have a talent at it. You can just write whatever you want. It's free. You can be creative. No one like can criticize you. Actually, like one of the poems in this book last year I wrote it when I was in fifth grade, and my teacher said it didn't make sense. And she said it was, I don't remember exactly, but she said it didn't make sense. And I still wrote it, and I still continued it, and I submitted it. And it was in the book, and my book won second place. So I don't think poems have to make sense. Like, they resemble something. I don't think they have to make sense.
Yeah, if you don't mind me asking, which poem was it? Do you remember?
There's the one called Hope.
Okay,
Yeah, that
cool.
one was not really an event. That was just something I wrote about. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. How much time do you think you spend writing usually? Or when do you feel inspired? Oh, I know you said like after an event that has happened to you, you feel inspired to write about it.
After I go through things, I just like to write on paper. I don't really write on my computer. I write it down on my computer after or on my phone. I usually write. I wouldn't really say there's exactly a time like I sit down and I just write. Stories more if I do that, but for poetry you have to like something has to happen or you have to think about something before you write it.
Yeah. Where's your favorite place to write? Or is it just kind of wherever you happen to be?
It's wherever, but I think a lot of where I write, like when I travel places, like if I'm in Cape Cod or if I'm in Singapore. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is the writing that you do like just for your own personal satisfaction different than the writing you do in school, do you think? And how do they kind of help each other?
So actually, we don't really in school. We've done like stories, but I felt like actually, I don't think anyone in my teachers I don't think they ever know that I write poetry actually this year, which is kind of funny, but I I don't know. I could probably tell them, but I never did. But I feel like in school, it's we don't really do a lot of creative writing, at least not yet. So I kind of try to separate my writing with what we do in school.
Um, how did you decide to call your poetry collection Searching for Bows and Arrows?
Well, I think it's a really good title in my opinion. Also, one of my poems is called that. And I think it really, I don't know, it kind of resembles most of the book because it has some sort of nature feel or like outdoorsy feel maybe. Yeah.
Cool. Um, and then I think you might have mentioned this before, but were there any people in your life who have been mentors or inspirations to you?
So probably my grandfather and my father, because they're both writers and they've helped me a lot. Most of my writing I've done alone, but my grandfather has helped me teach me about writing. And every Thursday before this pandemic has happened, obviously, he'd sit with me and read Russian poetry and we'd discuss it. And I think that's really helpful. And also American poetry, English poetry.
Cool. Yeah. And then I guess maybe we should start wrapping up then. I've still got my two closing questions. So, the first one would be, do you have any advice about writing for kids your age?
Really like just write whatever you want, whatever you think is best. Like don't doubt yourself. You should just write from your heart, not from your head.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'm sure everyone who listens to this or watches this interview or whatever happens to it is going to appreciate that. And then my last question, if you could tell someone about Stone Soup, what would you say?
Well, I think it's a really amazing magazine. They have so much amazing content and anyone can submit like kids and I think it's great because young kids, a little older kids, like teenagers, they can submit and I think it's really diverse and such a good magazine.
That's great. Thanks. Well, it was really nice meeting you and talking to you.
Yeah.
And I hope you have a good rest of your summer and school, whatever school is this year.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, keep writing. So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.